Thanks for staying with us on the program. Now, in Nigeria, the Pan-Yoruba Social-Political Organization, Afenifere, has decried the rate of insecurity in some parts of the country as a result of the attacks by some armed herdsmen on farmers. Now, the group noted that the criminal activities of the bandits against farmers raised the need for the creation of state police to enhance proper security at the grassroots level. Now, this was contained in a communique issued by the Secretary General of the association, Chief Shola Ebiseni. The communique was issued at the meeting of the group at the residence of its leader, Pa Ayo Adebanjo, in Ogbo-Ijebu, Ogun State. Now, according to this group, while there is a sense of appreciation for the constitutional rights of every Nigerian to live in any part of the country of his or her choice, it is important to stretch and ensure that such citizens live in peace with their host and respect their culture as well as their economic prosperity. Well, we'll go straight to the conversation now, and joining us to have this talk is first Salaudeen Hashim, security expert from Rivers State. Thank you so much, Salaudeen, for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, it's a pleasure, Salaudeen. Now, going straight to the conversation. First, I think it's good to start from the basis. What exactly are the primary factors contributing to the increase in insecurity in Nigeria, specifically within that region that has been highlighted by the Pan-Yoruba Socio-Political Organization?
All right, thank you very much. I think it would be safe to begin by saying that some of the contributory factors basically are as a result of the emerging social pressure that is prevalent in the society. Poverty is on its high. There is weak access to the distribution of resources. We have a lopsided application of those resources that are even available. And then, of course, we have a lot that borders around peer pressures where people are desperately looking for some additional. So these are some of the things that have contributed and put pressure on our social capital and our social security generally, and put economic pressure, social pressure, political pressure. And there are a lot of syndicates that has also made it very difficult for all of these things to happen. And of course, poor government policies as well has also been an emerging issue. So policy challenges, policies that don't provide those consistency in terms of how to safeguard and protect. The first order of the state is to protect lives and property. But when the state has failed in the ability to do so, then of course it offers a floodgate for the kind of challenges that we currently see. So as it currently stands, we have even weak state capabilities that is also not providing it with the ability to protect and safeguard. So if the state in itself has lost that capability, I think it is very important for us to interrogate it further. But most importantly is that we have a law that deals with the level of economic crisis that in itself has put a lot of people in line to be recruited into some kind of non-state criminal groups. And those are the elements that I think we need to pay some attention to reduce the level or to which people are being recruited, because the essence is for financial gains, and that is the reason why some criminalities and criminal gangs are thriving. So we must find some level of exit in that particular terrain.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Salaudeen, for that. Now, before we continue, we're now joined by Yomi Oke-Asiwaju, Public Affairs Analyst from Ogun State. Thank you so much, Yomi, for joining us. Yomi, please confirm you can hear us. All right, while we wait for Yomi's audio...
I can hear you.
Okay, thank you so much. Fantastic. Now, Yomi, we're still talking about the creation of state police. Salaudeen has just given us reasons why we're experiencing high numbers of insecurity and attacks all over. But in the meantime, how exactly can the creation of state police help address the unique security challenges that is faced by different regions in Nigeria and contribute to a more efficient and effective response to crime at the grassroots level? Yomi,
right. I didn't hear you clearly, but I'm sure you are trying to address the concern of the Afenifere group.
Yes, the question basically is how exactly will the state police that they're asking for help tackle the issue of insecurity in these regions?
Okay, thank you. I think number one, I must commend the Afenifere group for coming out to speak against the space of insecurity in some parts of the country to speak today. It shows that they are concerned. It shows empathy and sympathy as the case is. However, their call for state policing may not actually be the right approach. And you asked me why. As we speak today, in most parts of the country, I mean, in most states in this country called Nigeria, we have several neighborhood policing systems operating in different states. For example, in Ogun State and some other southwestern states, we now have what we call Amotekun. The question we should ask ourselves is, have we appraised the activities of this Amotekun group? Are they well funded? Are they motivated? Are they serving the purpose for which they were created in the first place? Have they been able to achieve some significant level of success in the states where they operate? An answer to this question will help us determine if state policing is the way to go. Because if state governments presently could not and possibly cannot fund effectively these Amotekun and the likes that we have in different states. Even I'm sure in the eastern part of the country too, there are some similar arrangements. If they can't fund it, how are we so sure that they can actually fund the state police that we are clamoring for? Because for me, it's not just about creating policing system and all that. It's also about addressing the root cause of insecurity. And I'm glad that my friend from Port Harcourt or River State, has addressed some of these things. You see, if people are hungry, if there are no jobs, definitely they will be susceptible to any form of ill vices, make them leave. And that is why some people will opt for all manner of social vices and all that. But if these people are engaged productively, the reduction in the number of crime in this part of the world. So I think that yes, state policing is fine, but we need to first appraise the activities of the current arrangements that we have, especially in southwestern part of the country. Are they meeting up to the objective of their creation in the first place? Can we say that the state government is indeed catering for their resources that will make them perform effectively? If we can provide answers to this question, I think it will guide us on the next step to take.
Thanks for that, Yomi. Now, Salaudeen, do you agree with Yomi? Do you think that state policing is the way to go? It could be that the idea in itself is not the problem. The implementation of whatever comes after might be the issue. I mean, there probably are some successful models of state police systems in other countries that Nigeria wants to, channel the state police after, or that the Afenifere is suggesting that we model after. So do you think that the state policing in itself is the problem, or the implementation of whatever it is that will come after?
All right, thank you very much. Let me commend Oke-Asiwaju for those very brilliant thoughts. He has given us just what the current capability truly currently looks like. There are two different things that I believe the Afenifere themselves are not getting correctly. They are really asking for state police, or they're asking for true state policing, because these are two different things. If they're asking for state policing, Ashwaju has made it very clear those infrastructure currently exist. In the southwest, we have the Amotekun. In the southeast, you have the Bela group. And in the north, you have the Hisba groups. And then, of course, if you go deeper into the northwest, there are a lot of forest rangers that we have also provided. And then, of course, we have the neighborhood watch. And we have all of those layers of policing that we have provided. But if we are asking for a former state police to come to bear, I think that call is actually an absurd to request, because already we have about 371,000 police that are not even well catered for. So if we are asking for more, that means we need to put pressure on the existing policing infrastructure, and then of course begin to lacerate more the budgeting of our security system that is even not sufficient currently. And then of course we need to also begin to find some additional policy shifts to get this done. For instance, we need to begin to amend the Constitution to reflect this, and this also will suggest that there's a need to put some state justice system value chain in place that would also offer those service provision and oil the wheel of justice, because it is not just about state police, about oiling the wheel of justice as it goes. That is on the one side. The second side is that there is also an elite capture of the society. Currently, you realize that we have emperors as governors, and then of course there is a big danger. If we allow for state police to thrive, there is a palpable possibility that this could actually be captured by governors. We have seen where governors have taken state budgets to present before their state house of assembly, and they have grabbed the gavel and they have actually passed the budget themselves. It tells you the kind of caricature of the parliament that we have at subnational level. So if you provide for state police, it becomes actually a weapon in the hands of state governors to deploy them for capabilities to run down their political enemies, and this in itself has some level of consequences. So we need to provide sanity in our security system. It is not just to call for this. There are quite a lot that must go into if what they are asking is for state police. But what we have is what Asiwaju has described. We have various state policing infrastructure in existence. And what we need to ask is that what is the effectiveness of these platforms as they exist? What do we need to do differently? How have we approached them? What are the kinds of additional incentives that we also need to provide to get them to function appropriately? That, for me, should be the conversation that the Afenifere group should be looking at. And I think it is also very important to state that because we have access to the media or that represent some groups, shouldn't give us some level of liberties to just put some demands out there, because of course people will query if these demands have actually gone through adequate thought process. And of course, with due respect to the Afenifere group, I know that they are very high level, very sagacious intellectual individuals who are there. But I think again, it is very important to actually review their thoughts before it is actually put in the public place. There is a need for state policing. It is already in existence. If you are asking for state police, what are the kind of additional advisories that you are putting on the table for us to actually actualize this? These are two different entities. These are two different conversations. And if what they meant is for state police, and I think it is very important for them to realize that state police and its creation requires an entire re-evaluation and overhauling and re-engineering of our legislation. That takes time, and I'm sure you know, it begins with the overhauling of the Constitution. It then means that we also need to have state justice system at subnational level who will deal with it. But I can tell you, with the current of political class and elites that we have, I can guarantee you a particular state can go to war with another state, deploying its own police for invasion, and because they are smaller, they can actually that in itself offers another regime of tyranny, of absurdity, or of anarchy that we might see. If there's a need for it to reevaluate this, in the long run, it might be the best way to go to create state police, but I can guarantee you it is very important that we process it before we begin to talk about it.
All right. Thank you so much for that clarification as well, Salaudeen. It's important to know whether or not they're asking for state police or state policing and the different measures that apply to these different phenomena. Thank you once again. Now, I think my next question will be, Yomi, what measures would you say? I mean, we've seen several times where people are now scared that this new, setup, this new establishment might become politicized or abused by those in power. So what measures can be put in place to ensure that state police forces do not become politicized or abused? Yomi, are you there?
Is that question?
Yes, Yomi.
No, I didn't hear.
Well, would you like me to repeat myself? Yomi, would you like me to repeat the question?
Repeat the question, please.
Yeah, sure. So
Yes,
I was
please.
saying that in situations like this, sometimes people are now scared that this new setup or this new establishment might become politicized or abused by the people in power. So what measures can be put in place to prevent this from happening? Yomi, did you get that?
No, no.
All right, I think we're having issues with your audio. Would you like me to repeat the question?
Me?
All right, while we're waiting for Yomi's audio to be verified or to be... Okay, Yomi, can you hear us? All right, let me direct that question back at you, Salaudeen. Did you get the question, or would you like me to repeat myself?
Yeah, I got you very clearly. So the best thing to do for us basically is to find some political solution to the existing challenges around insecurity. What are the existing political solutions that we need to provide? And then, of course, we need to get every actor to be on the table. For instance, we have some infrastructure of states that also should be involved in policing. I wonder sometimes when state governors say that they do not have some influence in the policing decision making, and of course, it is very laughable because the National Police Council is actually made up of the president, who chairs it, and all 36 state governors. That is the National Police Council. That is the highest authority of the Nigerian police force. So the state governors have some level of contribution and access to it. So we must find political solution to what is happening. And the best way to, first of all, engage is to ask ourselves very clearly, the existing security architecture, is it actually functional and effective? Does it meet with our modern realities? And how can we do, or what can we do differently? I think that is the first thing we need to ask. We need to do a performance evaluation and a review of our existing security system. Because if we do not do so, it allows us a challenge to be able to meet with the modern reality. That is one. Two is the issue that borders around ungoverned spaces. We have plenty of spaces that are ungoverned that is actually putting a lot of Nigerians' life at risk and sometimes fatalities. Between May 2015 and June this year, we have had over 63,111 lives that have been lost as a result of rural banditry and the activities of non-state armed groups. It is very important for us to be able to find this approach into how to begin to govern rural communities and rural areas, because the urban policing is high. We see this happen on a regular basis. And we see the absence of state in some locality. And that is where all of this evil are being perpetrated. And on a regular basis, we have seen that there is nothing that has been done to consistently provide this kind of response mechanism. So we need to find infrastructures at communities and ungoverned areas, and how we can create policing infrastructure in these particular localities. That, for me, would be the second approach to doing this. And the third one is about strategic communication. What strategic communication infrastructure do we have existing? Look, we have a digital crime that have been committed. We have modern realities that is setting into how these things have been done. These guys are more sophisticated. Sometimes they have communication infrastructure that allows them to coordinate better than our men. But unfortunately, we do not have. I'm surprised that sometimes you get into some police headquarters and their computer rooms don't even have one single computers. They don't even have adequate walkie-talkies for them to work with. They don't have adequate technologies to respond to modern threats. So we need to find all of these things. Then, of course, what are the kinetic capabilities that we also have? It is very sad that when you see some location and some states, that you see police officers pushing their own vehicles and hillocks. And of course, these are supposed to be vehicles that should be used to respond to threats or that should be used to chase criminals. This is actually too unacceptable. We need to go far beyond that. And again, we need to create citizen policing. How do we get citizens to also be cautious and aware that sharing information is also part of their policing responsibility as a citizen? So that level of awareness among citizens must also be there. But most importantly, we need to create economic security. If you push a lot of economic security out there, tendencies are there, that people will feel some level of safeguard, and that the recruitment will be slow, and people will have the moral right and rectitude to be able to domicile this information where they should be. Our economic security is collapsed, our social security is collapsed, and we need to work on them.
All right, Salaudeen, thank you so much for that. I think we have Yomi back with us now. Yomi, please confirm you can hear us. Yomi, can you confirm your audio, please?
All right. If you can.
Okay, all right, fantastic. Thank you so much. Apologies for that. Now, Yomi, looking at the fact that, Salaudeen did mention that citizen policing is also important because the citizen and the police have to work hand in hand. But when it comes to issues like that, sometimes there is a trust gap between the citizens and the police. So what strategies can be employed to bridge this trust deficit between the citizen and the police to ensure that they work together in tackling insecurity at the grass level?
You see, without prejudice to the system or the model used in recruiting police in this country, I must say that our police sometimes, they show like a lackadaisical attitude towards information provided by citizens that may prevent crime from happening. And that is why most times citizens do not trust the police to even give them privileged information that they can work with. Because if I come knocking the first time and I alert you that there is a looming crisis or there is a looming crime in my environment, and I did not see you come up or respond proactively, in the future, I may not give you such information again. Then what are we going to be experiencing? We experience unabated crime going on in our environment. So I think the police should live up to expectation. Whenever there is a call from citizens that they should stand by or be proactive against any kind of a looming crisis or crime in our environment, I think they should rise up to the occasion. This will instill confidence in the hearts of citizens that anytime we approach the police, they will definitely give to us. And this thing still takes us back to the government. Now, in a country where we vote so much money for our federal legislators, our executive arm and the likes, and yet we vote very meager amounts to the security outfit, I wonder if we are not paying lip service to our primary responsibilities as government, because of course the primary responsibility of government is security and welfare of the people.
Right.
So in a situation whereby you call the police, you call the DPO, can you please send your boys to this area, and they are telling you there is no fuel, they are telling you there is no vehicle, they are telling you there is no mobility, and whose responsibility is it to provide such? Sometimes the police will shift that responsibility back to the citizen. I want you to safeguard me, I want you to help me, yet I will still have to fund you. Whereas it is expected that from my taxes, you should be funded in the first place. So I think even from the National Assembly, they need to act, they need to do something. They need to show serious concern towards policing in this country and the welfare of the police in general.
All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen. I want to take this time to say thank you to Salaudeen Hashim, security expert in Rivers State, and of course, Yomi Oke-Asiwaju, public affairs analyst, joining us from Ogun State. It really has been a pleasure having this conversation on the show. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, it's still VSA. When we come back, we'll take a look at South Africa, what's happening with the housing auditioning, and what exactly will the people staying in those houses do when their houses are auctioned off. Do stay with us.